Superman 25, legacy number 868 is the legacy number. Joshua Williamson writing with Eddie Barrows, Jamal Campbell, and Dan Mora on the art. So, yeah, this starts off by showing Lex setting up Supercorp right before the start of the Superman run, where he's annoyed at the cartoon that's been made by marketing to advertise it. He's saying, I don't want any cartoon versions of me. And of course, Lex is that he's super evil version here. He's all stern. He's not like the one that's had amnesia for the while. But it's all about him bringing up this idea of like, oh, this is all about making Superman trust me, that he will finally believe that I am what's necessary to make all this work. And they allude, of course, to Project XL, which is what that clone that Mercy brought out at the end of last issue was. So we skip to present day, and we have this I guess we'll just call him XL because that's what he is. And he comes out and he's like, just instantly. This is one of the things that bothered me about this because I didn't really like this issue. I'll just get that out of the way up front. But one of the first things that bothered me is just how like comically two-dimensionally evil this XL is. Like immediately, like he's not confused. He's not like sort of discovering who he is and being like, oh, I'm a new life form, and he's sort of getting into control of this. He's just immediately like super evil Lex. And
I love that he's like, I remember Superman. My hatred of him, he stole the love of Metropolis from me. And I was like, oh, okay, this guy's a bizarro. Very two-dimensional.
They even reference Bizarro though, because they say, oh, he was built just like back when Lex built a Bizarro. He's basically a new version of that.
And so that's what I took that as. And so I don't want to critique that one too much. I was like, oh no, it's meant to be this two-dimensional, like, look how evil Lex can be, because to see what happens with Hero Lex towards the end.
Sure, I'm not critiquing it as a mistake in the writing for what this is supposed to be. I'm critiquing that conceptually. I just hate that it's a thing.
Yeah, I'm tired of Lex clones.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So I get it. And XL is just not a good name either. Sounds like a spreadsheet, right?
Sounds like a t-shirt size, honestly. But there's
especially
quick little flashback where Mercy and like Lex recently have been getting all cozy, and she's like, "How much do you remember?" And he's like, "I remember you." And she actually gets upset, even though she's enjoying the romantic relationship. She's basically, this was her realizing she has to wake up this evil Lex, because this new Lex, this amnesia Lex, even though he's remembering some stuff, he's too soft. He's too nice. She believes too much in the cult of like evil Lex Luthor to, and I think that was one of the things that bugged me last time, was the Mercy heel turn just kind of felt like a big like shrug, and I still feel that way. I like, you're trying to sell me like, okay, it's interesting that she is so much of a devout believer in Lex. That's fine, but I think if you're going to tell me that she's that important and she's the linchpin of making all this work. And you're trying to flesh her out into being her being what's behind like the real Lex coming back in some way, then I think we had to like focus on her as a character a bit more, other than just being the one who says yes Superman whenever Superman shows up at the building. Like
because we talked about it last time. We still never had any indication that she was going to break bad.
Yeah, like where was, I mean, even if they weren't going to hint that she was going to break bad, where was the scenes of development to make us like care about her so that it would hit us? Like maybe a scene, for example, where she has to convince Superman that she fully believes in what he's doing and that she's not just doing whatever Lex would have wanted or something. Like, I don't know, anything. I find it hard to care too much.
She feels too much like a Lex fangirl, and that's not good. That's not a good characterization for anybody, right?
I mean, it can work to a point if you do a whole thing where she's this devout follower and you flesh it out. But I think the problem is, though, is you'd have to flesh it out before Lex becomes good, right? Quote unquote. Because it just feels like you're kind of like almost retconning how, like, exactly how she felt here for the sake of this story, as opposed to it being something that's like, because if they did something with another character, right? Let's say Lois for some reason kind of went villainous for a while, right? I'm not saying that's a good idea or that it would be like something I'd want or anything.
Williamson, stop listening now. You can pick up in 3 minutes.
Right? But let's say Lois went bad for some reason, and it turned out it was something to do with like oh, she really believes in protecting Superman, and she knows this threat that's coming is so bad that Superman would never do the harsh thing that it's going to take, and she has to step in and make the dark decision or something, right? At the very least, in that case, it's like, okay, we already accept and understand because we've spent so many years building the idea that Lois really cares about Superman and all these things. But Mercy, for the most part, for Lex, has just been the assistant red shirt, right? She's not really been a character per se. So
yeah, no, she's just Miss Graves. You know, bring this up. Hey, you said she's just the assistant. And I mean, Williamson did give her more to do, but it was always like that for Superman now.
Yeah, pretty much.
Instead of Lex. Yeah, so yeah, it's not much to work on.
She just said what the company was doing, or she gave like Superman like directions, places, or whatever. Like it was always just kind of in that capacity. And if you at least teased that she was up to something, like an arc ago or something, 2 arcs ago maybe, I don't know. Or here, even better actually. Show us the scene. Like, see this scene that we got, the little flashback? Give us that first. Give us the moment where she clearly starts to think, oh, this new Lex isn't a good idea.
Yep.
And then when she pulls out the evil Lex, at the very least, we're like, okay, they just set this up. They set up that she thinks that this improved quote unquote Lex isn't to her liking because he doesn't have the edge that Lex once had. That'd be something. Anyway, fighting happens. You know, what else is there to say? Good Lex, quote unquote, or real Lex, I suppose we'll say, is being taken to Stryker's Island, and he's like, I need to go help, blah, 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 blah. And then Marilyn Moonlight shows up. Remember her, everyone?
Yeah, guys, remember she rode the Moon Horse.
Yes.
And she was from the Old West, but we haven't seen her in like a year. So yeah.
It genuinely may be over a year, because it's been a while. But she's like, hey, Luthor, I'm here for you. And he's like, hey, I will pay for whatever crimes you deem that I need to, but I need to go help Superman, so give me a ride. So yeah, fighting happens. You know, Lois and Clark are both trying to deal with them.
I did like Lois experiencing kryptonite, because she's just like, it was like I was burning from the inside out, you know, and Clark's walking her through how to recover. So I do like those little moments between them.
Lex, you know, confronts XL, puts on his armor, they have their fight, whatever. And it even starts sounding like Bizarro, where he says, me feel great, and stuff like that. Because Lex hits him with like a wave that he knew would affect him because of the Bizarro stuff that he's done before. Anyway, he tries to talk XL out of doing bad stuff. Doesn't go well, obviously, as you'd expect. And all of this builds up to Lex ultimately basically making the tough choice and like saying he has to kill this XL, which Superman and co aren't very pleased with. But he just blasts his head off. Superman says, Luthor, no, and shouts out. It's a whole thing. Obviously, Lena's watching all this and she's horrified of what her dad's done. And it feels like this is setting back any relationship that might have developed between Lex and Superman, even though Lex has kind of done it for a good reason, ultimately. Obviously, the debate is that he just went to lethal means when he didn't have to. But, you know, honestly, this entire amnesia plot with Lex was something that I always kind of kept at arm's length, because I just truly never believed it was going to lead to meaningful long-term change, and that it was going to be reset by the end of the run. And honestly, it kind of feels like, okay, this is where we're kind of doing that, I guess. Don't get me wrong, I will be impressed, I will be surprised if they try and handle this in such a way where it's like, no, he's still better, he just is still willing to do a darker thing that Superman wouldn't do.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and that's right, because here XL he's got Lois, and he's talking about how he's gonna go kill all the super family. Yes. Right, and then she goes supernova, and that's eventually what gets him off kilter enough for Lex to do what he needs to do. Because Superman has that red kryptonite infection still, and he's trying to keep that at bay. And then then that's where Lex comes and pops XL. Yeah. So
and when he kills him, Mercy like says, "Lex will come back." Like she's like, "Oh, I've done it. I've brought him back." The cliffhanger. As I was going to say, the cliffhanger that it ends on though is that Lois's powers seem to be gone, which I don't like her having powers. I've kind of hated that we've done this whole Superwoman thing in the first place. But I will say the one interesting thing was the idea that Zod was going to show up and like want his powers back, and her powers are just gone. I mean, maybe they're just gone temporarily because this kind of happened with Superman when he first went supernova. But
yeah, I think it's a solar flare thing. I think it's to be a cheap.
But I feel like then why have this cliffhanger if that's all it is?
I know. I don't know because I feel like Zod's coming, like that. They've hinted at that, and this is not how the power swapping has been working in Justice League Unlimited.
No,
you know what I mean. So I don't think she can just burn them out. But you know, Williamson and these cheap cliffhangers are, you know, we've dealt with it for how long now?
Yeah. Needless to say, I didn't really like a lot of this because, like, fair enough, he's paying off a lot of things that he's been setting up, but I have just not loved so much of what he set up, and the payoffs just aren't really that satisfying as a result. Like, I don't feel the earned side of this Lex thing where it's like, oh, he was kind of becoming better, but now he remembers who he is and he's Breaking Bad again. You know, the lowest superpower stuff is kind of whatever, and obviously the Mercy stuff we've ranted about enough that, you know, I don't need to say anymore. But yeah, just not.
Yeah, well, and I like the Lex when he's telling Superman that he goes, "You're not the man of tomorrow anymore. I am." So basically, if you're not going to try to lead the future, I'll do it. So putting them on opposite ends of that, where it's not necessarily he's villainous and wants to bring down Superman, but it's like, look how much better you could be if you just embraced it. You know, which I do like, instead of the, oh man, everyone loves Superman, not me. So I like that motivation for Lex going forward.
Yeah, I just don't trust Williamson to do something that's satisfying with it.
True. You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, the big shock with Lois there at the end. I mean, again, I don't need Lois Lane to have superpowers. In fact, that's why she's one of my favorite characters, is because she does all the stuff that she does knowing that she doesn't have superpowers. So to do this whole Superwoman thing again, I feel like we keep going back to this well.
Yeah, that's true. It's not the first time. That's you know, it's not even the second time, I don't think. So that's keep that in mind.
You know, so if this is it and this is how we're gonna do it, cool. We're out of this phase. Let's move on. Let's get her being the editor in chief for the multi-conglomeration Daily Planet.
Yeah.
So,
that's the problem with Williamson's stories, though, is at the end of every part or every arc, I'm always like, all right, we're out of this phase, good, let's move on. Like, I have that feeling at the end of every single story he writes. Whatever promise he has in the early days, I always just kind of feel underwhelmed by the time we get to the end of it. Ah, dear. All right, well, next time we're getting a story called Superman Red. Well, that means what it sounds like, or if it's just a play on words, because, you know, I like to do that.
I never thought we would be getting Smallville continuity stuff in a mainstream Superman book in 2025. Because it just feels like the red kryptonite infection was the red kryptonite stuff from Smallville. Where essentially it just turned Clark into a jerk. And that's where it feels like this is going.
Yeah,
here.
well,
you
say Smallville, I say the artificial kryptonite from Superman 3.
Okay.
Or you not remembering the plot?
I mean,
Superman
no,
3.
I do, but I associate it more with Smallville than Superman 3. But, I mean, that's where Smallville got it from, right?
Yeah. I mean, I just like Superman 3 more than Smallville. To be fair, Supergirl did it as well, the TV show. They did the same thing with Red Kryptonite.
Yeah. You know, so, which in the comics, it's more traditionally a wild card. You never really know what the Red Kryptonite radiation is going to do. So them streamlining it a little bit, it's not terrible, but we don't need more colors of Kryptonite either. So.
Yeah, I don't hate that interpretation of Red Kryptonite. If anything, I kind of like it more because the whole unpredictable, it can do anything thing is just a bit whatever to me. I don't know.
Yeah, it screams too much Silver Age. Or like, hey, we need Superman to turn into a rabbit. What can we do? Red Kryptonite. And it's like, okay, it's Red Kryptonite effects. But yeah, the lowers the inhibitions, lets him, you know, almost as if Superman's getting a little bit drunk, you know, kind of vibe.
Basically,
where he's letting the bad side through, you know. But if we see that's where this is going to go, you know, with Superman Red, we'll have angsty, moody Clark, and then I'll be mad about that instead of this.
Yeah, thoroughly underwhelmed. Matt, what are you giving Superman?
I'm gonna give this a 7, and that's on a lot of the strength of the art, because I do think that the Barrows, Campbell, and Mora combo for art is pretty strong. I think the art looks pretty good. Stories, what else? But yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, the art does change quite a bit because it's cycling through the various artists. Yeah, I'm going like a 5.5. 7's way too generous for me. How I feel about that story.